Okay. Can you hear me? Are we good? Hey! Why, thank you. Oh, okay. I believe everything's going. If you guys have trouble hearing me, let me know. My name's Josh. Thank you for joining me for my first live stream. I got a bunch of questions from one of the Crick Discord community members, Soda. We were going to try to do like a chat so that you could hear us both, but we were having trouble um, with their sound. So I'll just be going over their questions. They have, okay, awesome. Thank you guys. I will occasionally be reading chat, but because I'm going to be reading my notes and going through everything at the same time, it might be tough. So if you guys would like to ask questions, I'm going to try to keep this to around an hour. Like I said, I do have a list of questions that I'm sure will sum up a lot of what people are going to ask. So feel free to leave questions in the chat as well, and I will do my best to try to get to as many as I can. Whatever I can't get to, I think I want to do this maybe every other week. I don't really want to commit to anything because it's a lot of work. Um, so yeah, so here we go. Thank you everybody for coming. I really appreciate you all. Um, I will just start with their question. So their first question was, what are the main differences between turbo builds and mid-range builds? Um, this one's kind of a short answer. Consistent mana, more card draw at the cost of less tutors. That's pretty much it. Um, so their deck is kind of like a hybrid. Um, I have Contrel's mid-range deck up here to compare. You can see there's quite a lot of differences between these decks. Um, but that makes sense because these guys are working toward different strategies. Like this, there's quite a lot of turbo cards in here, like Culling the Weak, the scam effects. I would consider Peat Bog and Crystal Vein kind of turbo cards. Bolus's Citadel, definitely a turbo card. And then Control, we've got lots of lands, lots of fetch lands. We see more mana, more removal, more mana, more removal, more mana, more removal, and an extra card draw effect. So that's kind of the main difference between the turbo and the mid range. Like if we were to look at my deck, which mine, I don't know that I would call mine the most turbo of turbo decks. But let's see. Hopefully, I have this still as my latest. Yep. Uh, yeah, just tutor, tutor, tutor. More scam effects, less removal. They have more removal than I do. They have more card draw than I do. Okay, let's see. Next question. In the current meta, is it better to run turbo or mid range, or does it depend on the player? Uh, it 100% depends on the player. The meta right now is super greedy. People are not playing removal. That is great for our game plan. Um, yeah, I mean, the greedier the meta gets, the better it is for us. Um, but both are very viable. Like, I think that Turbo's better, but the best Keurig player is a mid-range pilot. So, like, I'm sure they would say the opposite, and what they think probably has a lot more weight than me because guess what? I don't have any tournament results on this deck. Um, okay, what's my favorite card from the deck? My favorite card from the deck. That's tough. I I'm I actually like Reign of Filth. I know that's like a random card, but Reign of Filth is like one of my favorite cards in Magic. Two of my favorite all-time cards are Reign of Filth and Bolas' Citadel. So, yeah, I this card super comes out of nowhere. People forget about it. Um, just like a cool ritual, especially if you've been stopped once and you just have lands. Played a lot of land drops for turn. Okay, next question. For their deck, what are some things I would consider changing? So, the first thing I do so this is when people come to the Discord, I guess you guys will be able to see how I do things when people ask questions in the Discord. The first thing I do is I take your deck and I compare it to the Unified Primer and I see what you're missing. In this case, you're not really missing much, although I'm a huge fan of Talon Gates, so I would consider adding Talon Gates to the deck. Other than that, the next thing I do is like, if you're a turbo deck, I'll compare you to a turbo deck. If you're a mid-range deck, I'll compare you to a mid-range deck. Um, the the biggest thing that stands out in this deck to me as a card that I would not play is Toxic Deluge. Um, I think Pestilence is better. People play Toxic Deluge, it's not strictly wrong. Other than that, I think your list is really good. You have like quite a clean list. You do quite a good job of threading the needle between the turbo and the mid range. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't change too much. Your deck is your deck, and you've clearly you understood the assignment when you put this deck together. So yeah. Okay, next question. As a new player, what are things they should focus on to improve their performance with Keurig? Learn the lines. By far the most important thing. You can't play the deck if you don't know the lines. This is a great place to learn the lines. This unified primer, that is the spot. Other than that, mulligans are next. You can't know what a good hand is, though, until you figure out how to win. And so once you have the lines down, once you learn how to mulligan, you have to learn how to yap. You don't have to yap with the best of them. You don't need Soren level yap skills, but you have to at least be able to talk enough to get your opponents to understand that you are not winning. If you're not winning, don't lie. Um, but if you are winning, like, what are you supposed to say? Like, they're going to counter your spell. Um, all right, next question. What are my tips for someone going to their first tournament with Keurig? What should they be preparing? This kind of goes along with the next one. Be prepared to talk to reduce your threat level. Any competent opponent will be on high alert as soon as you reveal your commander to the pod. That being said, any competent opponent won't just blow you out for the sake of it. You kind of run into this conundrum, though, where if you have one good pilot in the pod, they're going to turn everyone against you. If you have a pod of good pilots, you kind of actually will get away with more, which probably sounds weird. But the good pilots are going to know what the other good decks do, and they're not going to threat assess you so bad um, that they blow you out just so that they lose to the next player. Okay, we got another question in the chat. Is there a line where a turn 1 to 2 Keurig plus a tutor equals a win? Can I explain the line? There's so many. Truly, there are so many. But I will just focus on like one of the easier ones. If you can cast Curic and you have 3 mana with Final Parting, you can win. So basically, if you either on turn, let's say 1, you cast Curic, and then let's say you use like a land and a Soul Ring to cast him the first turn, then you have enough mana for a Final Parting. You entomb Hoarding Broodlord, and you reanimate Hoarding Broodlord, and then you can use Hoarding Broodlord to win the game. Otherwise, another option would be like Buried Alive plus a reanimation spell. You bury alive a combo, you reanimate most of the time your Necrotic Ooze, and then you go through the Scourge Familiar Asmodeus combo by discarding cards to Scourge Familiar to make black, spending the black to draw 7 cards, discard 3 of them, draw 7, discard 3, draw 7. Really easy to win from there. Most of our lines can win as early as you can deploy them, though, honestly. Because, like, if you have Buried Alive plus a Reanimate spell, you could Bury Alive Balthor, Shieldred, Villis, and then you reanimate the Balthor, you activate Balthor, you reanimate Shieldred Villis, you draw your deck, you gain a ton of life, and then it's pretty easy to win from there. Good question. Let's see. I'll answer one more before I continue on. Yes, Hyde. Yes, another new player. How to win as a new player. Get a lot of games in because you're gonna lose a lot, like a lot. And you just have to get used to losing and be okay with losing and just hope that you learn something every time you lose. Okay. Is it viable in Turbo to switch the Bolus, Sensei, and Aetherflux combo for the One Ring and Pestilence? Absolutely. Uh, my list did that. I just came back on the Bolus combo. Um, So yeah, I'm on the Aetherflux combo right now because you can win with 0 mana from a Hoarding Broodlord. So like those lines we were talking about with the Hoarding Broodlord, you put Broodlord into the graveyard, reanimate it. We'll go through the Broodlord line later, but just there's a Broodlord line that allows you to use Yawgmoth's Will to get 3 tutors, and you tutor for Citadel, Top, Aetherflux, and you can win with no extra mana. So those are good lines. Lines that win without requiring any mana other than what it costs to cast your spell. Like to get your Broodlord on board. Okay. Next question was, what play patterns can I employ to get the most effectiveness out of cards like Blood Celebrant, Praetor's Grasp, Yawgmoth's Will, and the manlands? This is like kind of a hard question to answer because it's like a lot. Blood Celebrant is our treasonous ogre. For anybody who's seen Atali or whatever, like I think Godo back in the day. I've never seen that deck, but it used to be a deck. You pay 3 life, you make a mana. We use this to cover our generic costs. Blood Celebrant is a 2-card win condition with Razaketh. Let me find this. Is it in here? Oh, here. Here's a good way to, if you guys want to learn a quick way to search the primer for what you're looking for. Oh, here we go. Found it. Control F, and you can search for whatever you're looking for. So this requires you to have 20 life Razaketh, Keurig, and another creature. You sacrifice the creature to Razaketh, you get Blood Celebrant, you cast it, you make 3 black, sack the Blood Celebrant, get Gray Merchant, cast it, gain a bunch of life, sack it, get Reanimate, bring back Blood Celebrant, make 2 black, sack it again, get Belthor, cast and activate, get Blood Celebrant and Gary back, deal some more damage, gain some more life, and then you just loop Gray Merchant and Reanimation spells until everybody's dead, using Blood Celebrant to make whatever mana that you need. You can actually do this with other ways too, but I'll let you guys either read it on screen or check out the primer. Yeah, I mean, that's the downside of playing Keurig, is as soon as they see you, they are going to cook you. Yeah, so the final parting hoarding broodlord, I guess I can go deeper into that since we're already in the primer. So here we go, standard hoarding broodlord lines. The most common one is Peer into the Abyss. You'll see that I'm actually off Peer into the Abyss right now. That's some spice I'm trying right now. I find myself never wanting to cast the spell, so I took it out. So basically most Broodlord win combos are going to be get Broodlord on the Graveyard, get Saw in half, convoke your 2 creatures and pay 2 life to cast Saw in half. You'll have 2 copies come in. It's often going to be sacrifice plus your win condition. And this one, the general one that most people know, is Peer into the Abyss. You convoke for sacrifice the tap token, make 8 black, convoke your remaining Broodlord token, pay life and black to cast Peer into the Abyss. Try to keep your life total above 4 and floating 3 mana or more. That's a pretty good standard. Draw some stuff, lose some life, win. I mean, you got half your deck, you should always be able to win. As stated here, though, Flare Duplication, D-Swap, or OBM, there's a lot of ways to blow that out. I actually prefer Buried Alive. So you have your Broodlord. You need more life depending on which line. You get your ETB, you get Saw in half. You convoke the 2, pay black, cast Saw in half. With the ETB triggers, you get Buried Alive and a reanimation spell. And then usually just the tried and true Necrotic Ooze, Asmodeus, Scourge Familiar. That most paths lead to this. There's other ways too. Again, I'll let you guys check the primer out. The primer's great. A lot of people put a lot of work in. Let me see. Okay, 1 second. I'm looking at the questions. Oh, wait. Is this actually not showing you guys? Oh, is this not showing you guys the unified primer? Okay. Next question. Oh, okay, so that was only one part. Praetor's Grasp. It's a tutor that gets through opposition agent. Whatever the piece you're missing for your line is, you can find it in an opponent's deck. It can be a deflecting swat, a fierce guardianship for protection. It could be a dark writ, a necro, a mana vault. It could be Phyrexian metamorph. There are lines you can use to win with Praetor's Grasp, like Underworld Breach. But I think that that's like styling on your opponent. I don't think that you actually really ever need to do that. Maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think there's ever really a reason. Um, what's up, Spice Chili? Um, so sorry, Soda. I think because we're like in it now, I don't want to risk like messing something up. You feel free to ask questions in here if I'm not fully answering the question, or um, could you give possible game example of a pivot from one line to another? Is the stream stuttering? Like, is my voice stuttering, or is it the stream itself? I've never done this before. If you guys are having trouble, I apologize. I'm not sure what exactly I can do. Hopefully my voice is at least coming through. Let's see. Possible game example of pivot from one line to another. Well, a good example is like, let's say they swords to plowshares your necrotic ooze. Well, then you like definitely are gonna have to pivot to a different line. Um, really, it just like a lot of the lines overlap with each other pretty good, which is one of the reasons the deck is so good. Um, yeah, think okay. I think part of the problem is that when I'm switching tabs, it's not actually showing you guys the different tab, which I thought that it would. It's only showing you guys this deck list. So then when I'm switching tabs, it's showing me moving the screen around, but actually it isn't doing what I want it to do. So my apologies on that. Um, let's see. Where are we? What do you look for to mulligan and blue heavy pods? To win. To win first, Brian. That is the best thing that you can do, is to just win. I know that sounds silly. Uh but that is the way. Otherwise, a good pivot is once the game gets completely out of hand, Shieldred is awesome. Um they take two every time they draw a card. And very quickly they have to decide if they want to keep drawing cards. Yawgmoth's Will and the Manland. So Yawgmoth's Will a lot of time is a try again card. Um, Yawgmoth's Will shuts off our graveyard, but most of the time, let's say you've tutored twice, Yawgmoth's Will is you just win. Because you get to reuse those two tutors. The only difference is that you can't saw in half a hoarding broodlord, but you can saw in half a hoarding broodlord token. Um, so yeah, so Yawgmoth's Will's like a try again card. There are lines for it. The Bolus's Citadel win uses Yawgmoth's Will to recast your saw in half, recast your sacrifice, recast your hoarding broodlord to get your three tutors. Um, and then the manlands. The manlands are just value. I'm not running them in my deck. We can look at the manlands though. I have all this stuff in my considering. Let's look at the good one. So, for instance, we have this manland. It can block Tymna. I know that sounds funny, but pay 1 mana, kill Tymna can be pretty good. It also turns it into an artifact creature, so that can be mobile. I, I don't know why, but maybe you need a black mana. You can tap the Mishras to turn it into an artifact, and then you can tap your mobile for a black, or whatever. Other than that, it's good fodder for Beseech. That's Beseech. You can sacrifice it. That or Razaketh, I believe, are the main reasons to run the manlands. Um, okay. Can somebody effectively... Oh, how can somebody effectively study lines and mulligans? Unified Primer, as I mentioned before. It has all the lines in it. The crit community worked really hard to put it together, with help from some all-stars like Spicy Starfruit, who don't play as much these days. Being able to collaborate on the primer is like one of the coolest things that I've done. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Mulligans require not only that you know your own deck, but that you know the other decks in the pod you're facing. Seat order matters quite a bit as well. Your mulligan decisions can change from the time you keep your hand to the time you take your turn. Sequencing is important, and learning when to sandbag and when to send it is huge. Let's see if we got any more questions. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry about the stuttering, you guys. I'm not sure what I could do to fix it because it's probably an internet problem. But I will, next time I do this, I'll do some research and I will see if maybe I can turn my video settings down. Well, maybe let me see if I can just reset it real quick. Well, I don't want to lose the whole stream. Oh, you can see the primer? Oh, I see. I see what the problem is. Okay, okay. It was a problem with the way the stream was showing in YouTube. Okay, good. So I'm not crazy. Okay, next question. I hope that that answered the question. It's a really hard one to answer. You just, you have to practice. Practice makes perfect. And not just practice, but perfect practice makes perfect. So losing is the best way to learn. That's what I found. And you guys can see from my videos, I am the punt master. I'm always one bad decision away from winning the game. And imagine how good I would be if I didn't punt the game. I would win so much. Can you play the spell with any mana? Which spell is that? Uh, I'm not sure. I'm going to move on, but tell me what spell you're talking about, and I will let you know. The next question. How does seat order affect mulligan choices and strategies with Keurig? In it, to me, other people may disagree, but in a turbo deck, it affects the decision less. In a mid-range deck, I would imagine it changes everything. Keeping a turbo hand in seat 1 is just about sending it before anyone else gets to take a second turn. Mid-range hand could be more about development of resources. And keep in mind, Crick is a turbo deck. So even if you're playing the mid-range, quote, mid-range version of the deck, you're still playing a turbo deck. You can still turbo out in your mid-range build because it still has all the same cards that win. But it's more about developing resources, and that I think pod composition actually matters more or just as much than sorry, than your seat order. If everyone is playing turbo, it's about who can send it first, which is like turn order simulator. I'm sure you guys have all heard that before. In a more mixed pod, it can be about who finds their window the best. Keeping in mind the turbo decks want to find their window early, and the mid-range or control decks want to find their window after the turbo deck has been blown out. What is going on? I might just have to refresh. Is it still stuttering bad for you guys? We can see, yeah, I haven't changed it off of there yet. Let me see. It's telling me to change something in my settings. Give me 1 second. Okay. Well, I'm just going to power through it and hope for the best. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. You can definitely instant speed draw your entire deck before Swords resolves. It was just an example. It wasn't a great example, but I guess I'd like just meant in general that if like let's say Gray Merchant loops is your way that you want to win. Well, if your Gray Merchant gets Mind Break trapped, you can't win that way anymore. So then you just have to pick a different line, like Pestilence or Aetherflux Reservoir, or like the Warren Soul Trader, Gravecrawler, Pinger loop, or there's a lot of different ways to win the game. Uh, which we have this nice little tier list here. Uh, these are all ways to win the game. That would maybe be the point where you Praetor's Grasp, LED, take a breach, brain freeze out yourself or the table, and pass turn. Um, okay, next question. How do you play against stack pieces like Grafdigger's Cage and Vexing Bauble? Um, it's so this is like kind of a hard question to answer in the abstract because on paper it's really easy to play around these pieces, right? All you do is you just win a different way, or you spend mana so that your cards don't get countered by Vexing Bauble. In practice, it can be tough though because you've already kept your hand. You already have your game plan in mind for how you plan on winning. Um, so Cage mostly shuts down your reanimate or flesh rider lines, but you could still like buried alive the engine and cast necrotic ooze from hand. Sometimes that's a good time to Praetor's Grasp for a bounce spell. Or sometimes just being patient and waiting for your opponent to remove it is the way to go. That's often how I approach it. Because we don't have a lot of good ways to, you know, get rid of stacks pieces, except creatures. We got lots of good ways to do that. What are the decks that a Keurig player needs to know how to play against? You guys are going to think I'm being funny, but all of them. Um, winning. Uh, Winning on Keurig requires a lot of meta and deck knowledge. Um, Everyone knows what Keurig does generally. They may not know exactly how you win, but they know you go fast. They know you're faster than them, and they know you're scary. Everyone is terrified of you from the moment you reveal your commanders in 90% of games, and there will be a pre-game conversation about how to blow you out. Oh, the manlands. The manlands are stuff like Mishra's Workshop. What's the other ones? I don't play them. The manlands are Mishra's Factory, Mutavault, Blinkmoth Nexus, and I think that there's another one too that's not as good as those. Uh, yeah, so basically just there's lines with them like Razaketh, manland lines. The Unified Primer is like the spot to be. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, pre-game conversation, they're going to talk about you. They're scared of you. You need to know what the other decks are doing so that you could point out when someone is ahead or one piece away from winning. Casting a value spell and getting countered when you should have known that Lumra or Timna Dargo were one piece away, only to lose to them on their turn is like super frustrating. I often point out when my opponents are about to combo off. And I'll often ask the table for interaction so that we just don't lose, like to the next player or to the next push. If the table's unwilling to work with you, especially because you're a turbo deck too, sometimes you just send it. Like, if nobody wants to tell me what they have and I don't feel like I'm going to get another turn, I'm going to send it. This is a skill in itself, though, to be able to tell if you have another turn or not. If the table reveals they have one piece, like a Force of Will, if that stops you from winning, then making a deal to set up and try to help stop the other player from winning instead of winning yourself is probably the best way to go. This was kind of the long way to just say you should know how and when the other turbo decks win, but you should also know how all the meta decks operate, like Kinnan, Blue Farm, Ral, Rogset, Rogthrast, Sisay, TNT, etc. There's a lot of good decks, like knowing how Magda wins, knowing how Arkham Dagson wins. These are all really important. I guess for anyone who doesn't know, I didn't even name Rogsai, but Rogsai as well. Kinnan wins by casting Basalt Monolith, making infinite mana, flipping until they get to Thrasios, and drawing their deck, and usually winning through either Fairy Mastermind or Finale. Blue Farm usually wins through Breach. They're a Breach deck. Same with Rogsai. It's Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation, but really Underworld Breach is the way that they're winning. Ral wins by storming off. Rogthrast wins by making infinite mana, and I don't know. I usually scoop at that point, to be honest. Um, I believe that I think that they win similar to how Kinnan wins, though, where they're attacking you with Finale. I guess maybe this is one for me to do my homework on, because usually once they have infinite mana with Thrasios on board, I've seen enough. Sisay usually just wins through Underworld Breach as well. Other versions of the deck have Planeswalker lines or whatever. Okay, how does a Keurig player politic against the Boogieman Effect and resolving casts? The any mana spell is... No. Well, let me double check on that. I don't think so. I think you have to use the correct color mana with Praetor's Grasp. Like, I'm almost positive. Yes, you have to use the correct color of mana. So that's why when you Praetor's Grasp Underworld Breach, you need a Felwar Stone, or an LED, or a Mox Diamond, or Blood Celebrant, or some other way to make a red mana. I really don't think it's worth it. Or a Lotus Petal. I'm not a fan. It's just, you're just styling. I'll put that line up, though, so that you guys can see it, because I don't really want to talk about it, because I think it's pointless. It's not pointless. Cruel Claw's Heist is great. Um, Cruel Claw's Heist is the best version of that effect. It is way better than Duress. Uh, Way better than Duress. Oh, dog's barking. Okay. How does a correct player politic against the Boogieman Effect in resolving chaos? This is going to sound bad, but really you just have to hope you're potted with smart players who know how to properly threat assess. You're going to be pointed out right away. If there's only one smart player in the pod, they will likely turn the other two bad players against you so that all interaction is wasted and they win. That being said, sometimes you just have to send it. If it's the player who's all set up countering your spell, well, that's one less counter for them to protect their own win with. Sometimes you just have to eat it. As far as actually getting your spells to resolve, I find that just being honest is the best way to accomplish that. Things like, this isn't a win attempt, I'm going to use this tutor to do X or Y can work sometimes. Sometimes they were never going to let you resolve your spell anyway, and you have to just let them learn their lesson by taking the loss to another player. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter which player you lose to, you still lost. So, like, yeah, you maybe they didn't take a deal, but like a lot of times if we're making deals, we're not winning anyway. Because just promising not to win every turn, like eventually somebody has to win. Sometimes saying things like, I can use this tutor for value if someone wants to show me a reason not to go for it. I don't want to just lose to insert whatever turbo deck is next. If the player is adamant about countering your spell, like if you can't talk your way into resolving your spell, I find myself telling the player to get deals out of the other two players in the pod so that they don't just lose. Sometimes you'll see another turn. Sometimes the pod can't agree not to push and they just decide to let your spell resolve. If someone's using a counter on me, I'm telling them to get a deal out of the table. Because why would I eat the only piece of interaction? And sometimes they just won't. Sometimes they don't care, and sometimes you just lose. But guess what? You are losing that game anyway. Because bad threat assessment, you can't do anything about that. Okay, questions in the chat. What are good signs that we want to sandbag versus a good time to full send? Especially after turn 3. Well, Brian, the best answer I can give you for that is like, have they revealed a counterspell? Like, if you know you're running out your spell into a Force of Will and they're not willing to make a deal with you, as I mentioned, unless that's the player who's about to win the game, I'm not just gonna throw my spell out into a Force of Will. Although if the only piece of interaction is a Force of Will and I have a Reanimate in hand as well, sure, I'll let you Force of Will my Gray Merchant. I'll just reanimate it again. Or Hoarding Broodlord, or whatever win line I'm going for. If my combo line is a creature line, which most of them are, go ahead, counter my spell. If it's a Mindbreak Trap, we might be having a different conversation, though. Okay, I'll scroll down for any of you that are reading so you can see the Sans Crick line. Okay. Next question. How can a Crick player find windows for the win, and what are the best instant speed wins for the deck? These are some good questions, Soda. I definitely appreciate you taking the time to write these out for me. I do apologize that we weren't able to do the voice thing. It is kind of weird just like yapping nonstop for an hour, but these were some good questions, so thank you again. This one is really hard to answer because there's so many answers to the question. The true instant speed win in the deck is through Hoarding Broodlord. It's a pretty complicated line that even I forget. But here is the line. You get Hoarding Broodlord on the battlefield. You have Crick on the battlefield. You have 1 black mana. You have 26 life. Hoarding Broodlord ETB, you exile, saw in half. This is the instant speed part of the line. You just wait. You wait until you're winning on top of someone else, or you wait until a massive counterspell war happens. Saw in half resolves. You get 2 Hoarding Broodlord tokens. They ETB, you get Orcish Bowmaster and Corpse Dance. Use the available mana to cast Orcish Bowmaster, using both dragon tokens plus OBM plus the Bowmaster token to convoke Corpse Dance with buyback. Bring back Hoarding Broodlord. Tutor for sacrifice. Convoke sacrifice, make 8 black. Cast Corpse Dance and get Hoarding Broodlord back. ETB and Tutor for Entomb. You've used 8 life, you have 4 mana left. Convoke Entomb and Tutor for Razaketh. Cast Corpse Dance and recur Razaketh. You now have used 10 life and have no more mana. Your board state is 10 life in, you have a tapped Crick, tapped Razaketh, tapped Bowmaster, tapped Broodlord, 2 tapped Dragon tokens, 1 tapped Bowmaster or Orcish Bowmaster token. You sacrifice the Bowmaster to Razaketh and Tutor for Dark Writ. Cast Dark Writ, you've used 14 life. Sack Broodlord and Tutor for Shallowgrave. Cast Shallowgrave, get Broodlord back, ETB Tutor for Cabal Writ. Convoke Cabal Writ, tapping Broodlord and Razaketh. Hold priority and sacrifice Hoarding Broodlord for Bitter Triumph. So now in Graveyard, you have Threshold with Saw in Half, Sacrifice, Entomb, Bowmaster, Dark Writ, Shallowgrave, Hoarding Broodlord. Cabal Writ resolves. You got 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 black. Sack the Orc token and Tutor for Grey Merchant. You've now used 22 life. You still have the same 7. Cast Bitter Triumph, discard Grey Merchant. Bitter Triumph is great. Discard Grey Merchant, floating 6. You've used 24 life total. Cast Corpse Dance with buyback. You got 2 floating. You've used 26 life. Grey Merchant triggers Devotion 14, gain 42 with 2 black. You've dealt 14. Now you just loop Grey Merchant. You sacrifice it, Tutor for Necromancy, bring back Grey Merchant. 15 more damage. Sack a dragon token, get Culling the Weak, cast it, cast Corpse Dance for the last time, recur Grey Merchant, ETB 11, total damage 40 for the win. Big dub. That's the instant speed, the main instant speed line that can completely be done at instant speed. There are other ways to win at instant speed. But to me, they're not really instant speed wins. They're sorcery speed wins, but you wait to combo off until your opponent's turn. Which I know that sounds confusing, but something like putting a combo in the graveyard and using an instant speed reanimate to bring it back. So you put the Necrotic Ooze engine in the graveyard, and you have a Shallowgrave. Something like having Chainer or Balthor on the battlefield, then using their abilities to activate at instant speed are technically instant speed wins. But again, all the setup was done on your turn. So it's like kind of like It's almost like it's a sorcery speed win, but you know someone has the swords to plowshares, or or maybe there's a opposition agent or something on board, or like for whatever reason something's stopping you. Maybe the Grafdiggers is on board. So you just sit with your combo and wait until the window presents itself. Besides that, there's Emergent Zone. Emergent Zone is just you just cast your spells. Like, yeah, it's technically instant speed, but it's so telegraphed. Like, everybody sees this on the battlefield and knows it's coming. Um, but yeah, so those are the ones. There's a lot of ways to win at instant speed because most of our stuff is creature activations. Like, you can win at instant speed with Villas. You can win at instant... Flesh Riser is the only one you can't win at instant speed with. Okay, we had a question. Do you ever play lands that give you any color mana like Gemstone Mine to help Praetor's Grasp play spells? No. Because 99.9... Well, technically Talon Gates does it too. You can use Talon Gates to make a man to filter. Gemstone filters. I don't because I don't see the point in it. I don't want to make my whole deck worse to make my fourth win condition better. And almost always I'm Praetor's grasping for a black spell anyway. So, like I said, Necropotence. I just Praetor's Grasp for a Bolas' Citadel in the last video that you guys probably watched me punt. I'll tutor for a tutor. I'll go get Demonic Tutor. I'll tutor for a Reanimate. I'll tutor for an Entomb. I'll tutor for a Mana Vault. You know, a tutor for whatever it is I'm tutoring for, I can usually spend my Phyrexian mana to cast. So I never actually care about like having different colors of mana. It's so niche that it basically doesn't matter. Okay. We are to their last question. We are closing in on the hour. I want to say again, I really, really, really appreciate all you guys for making it. I appreciate everybody who asked a question. I appreciate everyone who answered a question. I apologize for the stream quality. I will try to figure out if there's something I can do to make it better for next time. I hope that this was still worthwhile for you guys to watch. I hope, Soda, I hope that you got what you were hoping to get out of this. So my last question, we're going to talk about one of my absolute favorite cards. The question is, how do we win with Necropotence? I love Necro. A lot of the answers we just talked about with the how to win at instant speed. I will go more in depth on this, but basically having an instant speed reanimate or a creature that can reanimate as an activated ability are the best ways to win with Necropotence. Another thing that Necropotence does that you might not think about is you have Bolas' Citadel on board. You have a land on top. You pay 1 life into Necro to get rid of that land. Necropotence plus Bolas' Citadel is a win condition. Like, that is a combo. Even if you don't play Sensei's top or whatever, Bolas' plus Necropotence is a combo. I'm going to take some time to play test some Necro stuff here, since we have a few minutes. Let's see. Let me check the questions real quick. The Amanatu line for Sisei. Yeah, I mean, you're right, but like, almost no one plays that version of Sisei. Basically, you got to worry about Sisei having 10 treasures or being able to activate twice. Same with Magda. Being able to activate twice is usually the scary point. Um, let's see. We just do some random cards. Uh, Swamp. How did we cast Crick? Mana Vault. Probably, oh, Necro. And I'll just take 2 random cards from the deck. And that will be our start. Oh, this makes it too easy. Too easy. Vamp Tutor, basically, you just put your instant speed reanimation spell right on top. Having S. Well, you know what? Let's just do this. So here we go. Turn 1, Swamp. Turn 2, Mana Vault. Turn 1. Then turn 2, Crick. We pay 6 life. Cast Necro. 6 life. Crick gets a trigger. Is this showing? Let me make sure. Is it showing you guys my Moxfield playtest? I'm just going to hope that it is. Okay, normally I would do a little Necro here. Because I don't have that many cards in hand. I would like to attack with Keurig and... Oh, this is turn 2. Well, I'm going to shuffle this away because I'm going to Vamp Tutor. It would be a little Necro here. Although, let's say that I knew there was no interaction, and I knew that Ral was going to win on their turn, or Rogsai, or whatever, and I had to send it right now. This will be tapped. I'll take 1 extra damage. No, I won't. Okay, so pay 2, cast Vamp Tutor, lose the other 2. Vamp Tutor will go to the graveyard. We will find... what do we want on top here? Instant speed reanimate, probably. We actually don't have any mana. So, like, I probably wouldn't actually send it here.